I want to show you how to visit Ephesus, the crown jewel of ancient ruins, the right way, by yourself at your own pace, where you can really dive deep and not just get hurried past all the hidden gems by an impatient tour guide. Plus, we'll be dropping by one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, or at least what's left of it, and checking out the local artifact museum as well, all to create a better itinerary for you. So welcome back to Near From Home's Turkish road trip of ruins. Let's hop in the car, hit the road as we make our short drive from our base in Izmir and only get a little lost along the way. So after a pretty peaceful hour-long drive from Izmir to Ephesus, we've finally made it to the ancient city itself. By a happy accident, we've actually driven to the exit, because Ephesus is kind of in a line. There's an entrance where everyone comes in by a tour bus, they walk 2 kilometers through, get picked up by their tour bus, go home. However, that's not really how I like to do things, because I wanted to walk through it twice anyway. So now we're gonna walk up through the exit, as you can, no biggie, walk back down again, we're gonna walk it twice, I'm gonna love every minute of it, I hope. One observation off the bat though is that it is so much more touristy than anything else we've been doing over the past week. Because I've seen more people in the last 2 minutes than I have in an entire week and a half of road tripping. It's weirding me out, just a little, if I'm honest with you. There's so much English around me. For now though, let's get inside the ruin. Let's stop hanging out by the entrance like weirdos. We need a ticket. Or do we? I mean, that's right, it's back on the museum card train we go. It's 120 lira to enter, but not for me. That's gonna be 120 lira I knock off of my museum card price as we continue the museum card challenge. What's also nice is you get to skip the line because it's already a ticket. You just walk right through. So let's do that now. Now, as I'd hoped, the exit is so quiet in comparison to the entrance above. I've seen the size of the tour buses. There's a flood coming, but they haven't made it here yet, so it's lovely and peaceful so far. But, as I had feared, there are way too many cute cats who need cuddles by the exit. I don't even know if I'm gonna make it into the ruins anymore. I've got cats to pet. They're growing so many fresh new cats. It's a good harvest this year. It's really nice seeing how well they look after these animals. And some of these cats are like legit chunky. Hey, they're chunky. The marble-paved column street that leads from the old harbour to the amphitheater is really a sight to behold. But what it's really triggering in my mind is a memory of the Asclepion. It too had a column-lined street heading towards its grand temple. This one, of course, is in far better condition. Nature hasn't quite reclaimed it yet. And so what's really cool is I find myself feeling as if I'm learning more about the Asclepion by being here as well, recontextualizing what I saw that day with the grandeur here at Ephesus. That's pretty cool. The Ephesus Amphitheater is absolutely incredible. I mean, everybody can just appreciate the size of this place. Seating 25,000, this is way more than double the largest amphitheater we've seen so far, and it's extraordinary. Though what I'm really thankful for is the fact that I've visited those other amphitheaters as well, because I'm picking up on a variety of cues that I just would have never noticed if I hadn't. Now, of course, this lacks the intimacy of the 5,000-seater amphitheater in Assos, set alongside the sea. That was truly beautiful. Nor does this have quite the daunting steepness of the Pergamon amphitheater, but by comparing and contrasting them all, we can really learn quite a lot. And I'll share with you just one thing that I'm noticing, and that is the separation of seat to orchestra that is very unique compared to the rest that we've seen. In Assos, you'll have noticed that the seats went all the way down, very similarly in Pergamon as well, but here there is a massive separation, and to me that belies something quite interesting, because in Assos I learned that when the Romans came in, they brought with them gladiatorial events to the amphitheaters, and as such they built walls in front of the Assos seats to separate them from the gore, if you will. But this place has that built in, and so considering Ephesus was at its height during the Roman Empire, I think there's a lot we can take away from that, and it's the kind of detail I would have never noticed had I not visited everything else and brought them together. I hate to use the word synthesis, but that's exactly what it is. I apologize if my commentary is getting a little grating after 3 videos of me constantly describing everything as incredible, wonderful, astounding, but come here for yourselves and tell me if you think anything different. Though of course it's not all upsides. This place has something in common with Troy, which is a little unfortunate, but of course understandable. With the increased foot traffic comes increased need to control that foot traffic to preserve the site itself. So don't come here expecting to free roam like we did at the ruins of Assos. I know it was a lot of comparisons, but yeah, it's a lot more sanitized than some of the other places we've been to. For better and for worse. So here it is, after all of the time road tripping from Istanbul, we finally make it to the southern Agora Gate here in Ephesus. And it probably is one of the most touristy things that you can do in Turkey. And if you're a follower of the channel, you know that I usually don't like those things. Consider this the exception that proves the rule. You're not gonna get a lot of peace here between yourself and everyone else wanting a photo, but it truly is magical, and you're gonna need to come here and check it out for yourself. Though definitely not the only thing in Ephesus worth looking at, it definitely is the most iconic. Though if you ask me, my favorite so far are just the streets. Walking along the marble streets lined with columns, that's my favorite. But if this is your favorite, I can see why. Right, little buddy? Meow. And though the cats here in Ephesus are definitely not unfriendly, they are the least friendly of all the ruined cats we've seen so far. And I can't tell. Is it because they know they have the prime real estate and don't need to try so hard? Or do you guys not treat them right? This place also goes through massive ebbs and flows with the tourists. Just huge battalions of people kind of marching through the streets from one end to the other. And you just gotta wait like 15 minutes. They'll go away and then you get the place back to yourself yet again. And this is like the 5th lull we've gone through. Next up, we have the Terraced Houses, and it might not look much from the outside. What is inside is exceptional. It's technically considered an optional extra. It's not even included in your Ephesus ticket. It'll be an extra 55 lira, at least for those of you who have still not cottoned on to the fact that you need to get the museum ticket. So for me, it's free. Let's get on inside. With these frescoes, the mosaics, the columns, the granite, this is quickly becoming a highlight of Ephesus to me, and well worth splurging a little extra lira to get in here. In truth, nowhere else I have ever been has had such a wonderful collection of mosaics, frescoes, overlaid granite pieces, columns. It's insane. All coming together to give you a really wonderful picture of how people would have lived in this little terraced village. And to the untrained eye, you might think that this village has been abandoned for thousands of years, but you'd be wrong, as the terraced houses have their own colony of kittens. And haven't we just gotten so incredibly lucky with the weather today? It's unimaginable, especially because today was supposed to be the worst weather of the whole trip. If you watched in Istanbul, you'll have noticed that it was pretty rainy, pretty gloomy the whole time, and that's just one of the dangers of traveling in the off-season in the Mediterranean. Sometimes rainstorms just park themselves on top of you. But thankfully, all of that worry was for nothing. It's a beautiful day. No idea how long it will hold, but it's good right now. Now then, sadly, you can't spend all day in Ephesus, though we damn sure have tried. We've been here for 4.5 hours now. I've seen many a different flood of tourists coming through on their buses, and I worry about how long they're spending here because it doesn't seem like quite long enough to me, which is just another tick in the box of doing this DIY. You really get to spend as long as you want here. But another tick is that Ephesus actually isn't the only site in this little region. Across the road is one of the wonders of the ancient world, and I wonder if that's included in everyone's itineraries. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so I do get it. I understand why people, after seeing something as grand as Ephesus, probably wouldn't come to the Temple of Artemis. But if you know me, you know I'm not going within a kilometer of one of the ancient wonders and not going to see it for myself. How am I supposed to live knowing that I passed that up? You know, when we were driving from Yalova, we stopped by the ancient city of Ziticus. It was well off in some neighborhood covered in manure and smelt terrible, but it had perhaps the most beautiful piece of marble work I have ever seen. So you can't just judge things by a Google pin. Sometimes you got to roll the dice and try it for yourself. That's what we've done here in the Temple of Artemis. And yeah, it could do with some love. At a glance with the naked eye, there definitely isn't a whole lot going on here. But if you let yourself just steep in it for a moment, really absorb the scale of it, you'll notice that the columns, they're just larger than everything else we've been seeing. The foundational blocks and elements behind me, they're all just bigger. Everything's been scaled up. And that's how you can know that there really is something special going on here. It's just much harder to appreciate at first, especially compared to the wonder that is Ephesus itself. I mean, after all, this place has been destroyed for about 1800 years. The Goths tore it down in like 200 AD or so, which has got to be the second worst thing Goths have ever done, other than, of course, the first being the corporate Goth that is Marilyn Manson. So you're putting those things together and come on, guys, that's not a great rap. Maybe the Cure fans out there can do a bit of a fundraiser to fix it. That's for you, Carolyn. If you look really close though, I think there's a bird's nest on top of the column, which, what a cool bird. What a great location to put your nest. Ultimately though, my point with this video and the whole series in general is that there's just so much more than just Istanbul and Ephesus if you're willing to go out into a field and see what you can find. Here alone, there's also a great museum that if you have the time, you should definitely consider checking out. So I think what we might do to cap it off is, since we've seen so many amazing ruins, both in the mind and visually, let's check out the museum and see the artifacts. They even have a recreation of the Temple of Artemis, which will be good for those of you out there who couldn't really imagine it from a single column. The entrance fee is only 30 lira, but we'll knock it off the museum ticket anyway. Today's been a high-value day, but let's get inside.
So that's it. That's the last of the museum ticket savings. Or is it? Actually, the day previous in Izmir, we saw the ancient city of Smyrna for 40 Turkish lira. Additionally, we pulled a sneak Yanya and actually went to Assos twice. Do you really think our videos are edited in the same order they're filmed? Absolutely not. We totally underestimated how much time we needed to see Assos and came back the next day to film. So let's lop off an additional 30 lira. If you watch that video closely, maybe you can discern which shots are from different days. So in total, we spent 600 Turkish lira. We saw that much worth of museums, plus an additional 192 lira and 50 cents. It was a close call for most of the trip, but we pulled through in the end.
It should come as no surprise that I really love this museum. It's the perfect size, nice and small, which is appreciated on such a busy day. Not to mention, the coin collection was astounding. I've never seen anything like it. And yeah, the recreation of the Temple of Artemis, it really did help deepen my understanding and my appreciation for that little patch of grass we visited earlier. And of course, it was free on the museum card, so what isn't there to love? I'd rate it a 10 out of 10, though I'm sure any long-time viewer of the channel already knew I'd say that. So what do you think? Did Ephesus live up to the hype? I sure think so, though my heart really does go out to all the people hurried past us today. They missed out on so much, and I hope you don't now that you know a little bit better, because I really think you need to skip the tour and take your time with this one. But let me know in the comments, do you agree or disagree? Have I done it all wrong? Have I misunderstood tours? What should you watch now though? Well, if you haven't seen my entire Turkish trip, this is a great time to start, as this video, sadly, it's the last. I'm heartbroken that the trip is over, but I've made so many lifelong memories along the way, and I'm just really proud of this video series too. I even managed to make good on my museum card investment, which I'll admit I was getting a little worried about for a second. From diving deep into Istanbul and traveling by the public ferries, to our beautiful sunset in Assos, the lofty heights of Pergamon, discovering Troy was a real place, and every single one of the beautiful cats I've befriended, this trip has been an absolute blast. I'm in love with Turkey. I'm counting the days until I return, and I hope you're just as inspired as I am to come here and see it for yourself. But more importantly, I hope these guides have empowered you to come here by showing you new ways to see these sights, as I really do want to help you travel. So thank you all so much for watching. It means the world, and I'll see you in the next video, whatever that might be.